This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
What a goal! It's absolutely world class from Marcus Tunde!
Johnson puts it in the air. Aidan Flynn wins the It's still with Lee Gregory. He's in the box. Tries to screw him. Is it going to be there? Yes! Oh my word! The Wednesday week!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday week and Monday's review show. Yeah, this week joined by Simon and Stevie to talk about Stoke City. Win. 3 points, 3 games unbeaten. Lads, how are we feeling today?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It's like Christmas has come early.
3 points is all we're after. That's all we want to unwrap.
I'll take it.
Yeah, well, we're going to start there then, aren't we? We're going to start at a Stoke City. So, 2 unbeaten, travelling to Stoke. We were high as anything over a win against Blackburn. How were you feeling, Simon? Start with you. How are we feeling Saturday morning? Thoughts? Come on, let's give a little bit of an insight to Simon.
Oh, right, okay. So woke up and the weather was atrocious, wasn't it? Saturday morning, just absolutely dreadful. We set off down. I think I got a WhatsApp from you and then a phone call from Joe because Joe had popped out. M1 was shut, junction 31, which so happens to be the junction that we're on. Oh, God, here we go. Anyway, set off, got down there, stopped off in Uttoxeter, met with a few friends, met up with our groupies, Ash and Steve, our Roland Nielsen groupies, had a chat to them. They still can't believe how young you are. And then we got to the ground. Fairly straightforward, no traffic jams, parked up. Had a chat to a couple of Stoke fans walking in who basically said, "You're going to roll us over today," and it was not the most entertaining affair, but 3 points, good.
Yeah, I got the gist of Stoke City online that they weren't very confident. I think they obviously, and we've seen later on in the day what happened. It was going to be 3 points to us, weren't it? Stevie, you, mate, were you confident for the 3 points?
Yeah, obviously I did the preview show last week, didn't I? With the floating head.
Ollie
off Red Dwarf. He basically
Brilliant.
said that if we score the first goal, that'll be it. You know, I don't think they weren't in great form, and they've sort of fallen off a cliff a little bit. I actually went into the game looking at the track record, the things that you got to consider. It was one of those games. Every now and again, you go into a game and think there's going to be a run that ends here sooner rather than later, sort of thing. Whether that be so many games unbeaten or so many games without a goal or whatever it is, it just felt that the stars had aligned. Going into Stoke, I was confident. I think I did say last week, head and heart. At the minute, you've got to take points on the road. Anything is positive. If we'd have got a draw on Saturday, I'd have been all right with it. Obviously, 3 points is beneficial, massively beneficial given the results that have happened elsewhere. I think as an overview, we've got to be worried and concerned about our home form. We can pick up wins, get 3 points, draws against the upper teams, that get wins at home against the teams that are in and around us. Anything that we pick up on the road at the minute is an absolute bonus. So those 3 points on Saturday were very welcome. But I was confident going into the game. It was the first time that I've been to Stoke. I took Molly, some fella with a massive heart, gave me his tickets last week. I ventured in and I'd heard a couple of bits.
Just stopping you, Steve, because I'd rather have gone to Meadowhall on the Saturday. That's why. I had a bit of Christmas shopping I had to do. So
is Mrs. Rogers round the corner listening to you?
Yeah,
I'm so glad.
She's tuned in. She's one of our many listeners or watchers, should I say? Sorry, Stevie, crack on, mate.
No, you're
Sorry.
fine. You're fine. Listening to you guys talking, I wasn't sure what to expect in terms of the pre-match and everything around the ground. I'd heard that there weren't a great deal of stuff to be had, and I'd seen somebody, I can't credit the person because I can't remember, on Twitter, who put a message out saying where is it to go before the game in terms of parking and anything else, and somebody recommended a rugby club just down the road, about a 5-minute walk. So I ended up parking up there, found my way in, parked up. It looked like a dead end. It ended up going into this car park, and it opened out, and it was a big size sort of place. And I got out of the car with Molly and literally bottled it because there were no cars in the car park at 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I said to Moll, we need to go somewhere else because I don't think they're going to let us in here. And just as we were starting to walk away from it, a taxi and Uber drove into the car park, and 4 blokes in Christmas jumpers jumped out. One had fag on, and they walked to the main entrance. And I was like, right, okay, we're okay in here. So we've gone in.
I bet it weren't a Sheffield Wednesday £45 Christmas jumper, though, were it, Stevie?
No, it wasn't. I think we do respect to those lads. The jumpers that they were wearing cost less than 45 quid between the 4 of them. But we've gone upstairs, found the bar eventually because it was tucked away around the back of the entranceway. And as I've walked in, gone in, Star of Ramen on tap, have some of that. Grabbed myself a pint, got Molly a J2O, gets a tap on the shoulder, and some fella goes, "Are you waiting for somebody?" No. You're not meeting anyone? No, it's just me and my little one. And at this point, I'm thinking it's a members only club or whatever. I've looked him up and down, and he's gone, "Well, if it's all right, there's over there. We're sitting over there, and if you'd like, we've got a couple of spare seats. Would you like to come and join us?" Sort of thing. Yeah, okay then. So as we're walking over, he said to Molly, "I remember you." Hey, he says, "You were there at Peterborough in the semi-final." And Molly being Molly, 9 years old, is looking at him going, and then looking at me going, "Dad, what the hell's going on?" sort of thing. And he remembered every detail. You walked out at this point, you went down, you had a balloon in your hand and all sorts. And at that point, Molly was kind of relaxed. And they were great guys. Travel home and away, season ticket holders. Cheltenham and Gloucester area. They've got family in York. These guys were travelling up from Gloucestershire. They do games, as I said, home and away. He was with his daughter, who was a little bit older than Molly. And he was saying over Christmas, they're going to do, I think he said they're doing 5 games in 9 days that start with, it might be that they're starting on Boxing Day, and then they're doing all the games right up to Cardiff or something ridiculous like that. So they're doing a road trip home and away where they're going to get all the games in.
Nice.
That is absolute dedication.
Big up.
And then he messaged me on Twitter the following morning, showing me a video of them. They went back to the rugby club afterwards, and they were there till about 11 o'clock that night on karaoke.
Big shout out to that rugby club then, innit?
Yeah, absolutely. Recommended for next year.
Yeah. Nice shout, Stevie. Nice shout. So 2 o'clock come round, and all the excitement about let's see the teams. So the teams come out, and the only changes were Liam Palmer for Iorfa, and then was it a late one for Pato, or is he injured? I think he were injured, weren't he? Was it a late call?
I thought something had come out saying that he'd fallen ill. He was poorly.
Right.
And Danny said afterwards that he should be all right for Wednesday. Right.
So Iorfa and Pato made way then for Palmer and Johnson, was it? Was it Johnson?
Yeah.
I mean, apart from the obvious, I think Iorfa did pull up, didn't he, in the first few minutes. I think that he was always going to be a change. And then just keep a winning team, don't you? I suppose if you can. And he's tried to that apart from the last change. So no complaints, guys, on the starting lineups from you?
No, not at all. I think if they obviously the Iorfa one was enforced, so it's a natural one, isn't it, for Palmer to come in for that position. In his current form, he couldn't drop Volks. You're obviously not going to look at dropping Bannon. I don't know whether we'll discuss old Georgie boy, but George fell into the centre midfield as well. You got to play Cadamarteri again. It all sort of linked in fine, you know. I was no complaints whatsoever, to be honest. The game would have suited Pato. I don't know what Steve thinks. I really do think that game would have suited Pato. It needed a Pato sort of character in the game to sort of it lacked a lot of passion in the midfield, and I think somebody like Pato would have really shook it up and probably given us a little bit of an edge, if anything. Certainly when Stoke came out and were a little bit on top for a while in the second half.
Yeah, it wasn't an inspiring first half, was it? I think, to say the least. And I think it was one of those where there was no, if either team had gone in ahead, it had been harsh on the other team, because what I felt like it was just a nothing game. And it was obviously you two guys were there. I had other plans shopping, you see, because that's it. But so what did it feel like in the first half then? Obviously amongst the Wednesdayites in the away end. 2,500, I believe, was there, 2,600. So another great sellout, travelling support again, got to say.
Yeah, the fans are what they are, aren't they? And at the minute, you know what you're going to get. Danny Rohl's carrying this feeling of optimism with him wherever we go. And, you know, he's I think Si was sat over my left shoulder on the upper tier and I was behind the goal. But it was literally from 2:45 onwards, it was just singing his name for 45 minutes to an hour. And, you know, we can wax lyrical about, you know, the job that he's doing. But bottom line is he's galvanised the club, even though we are still in the relegation zone. We're at the bottom of the league. I can't remember feeling this positive about Sheffield Wednesday, 15 years? You know, that sort of everything that's happened previously under Chansiri's sort of rule, if you like, or his ownership as it's had its peaks and troughs and its ups and downs, but it actually feels at the moment like he's doing his best work in terms of the recruitment and everything else that he's doing. So the game first half was as drab as it was. You still had the atmosphere in the crowd in the stands because people were, you know, that's the buzz and the vibe that you're getting. I think we're both.
Sorry, Steve. Sorry. No. I'm not gonna. I was gonna say something, but I'm not. This is not negative. Is it like blind optimism? Because we don't know anything about Danny Rohl. He's come in. It's not a negative thing to say that, because there is nothing behind him, is there? It's just the way he's gone about since he's come to the club. And
I know what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? It's just we haven't got no backup to it of why the fans have took to him so much. And they have in the position, because if you look at it, what is he now? Is he 9 games in now? 3 wins and 1 draw, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm not a stats man, obviously, as you all know. So it's not the best record for a new man, but it's just the way that he's gone about it, and for whatever reason, and I don't know the reason.
We were there. We were all there at Watford, weren't we?
Yeah.
And I'll put this to you. We set out at Watford. All right, let's go back 30 seconds. Before we got to Watford, he gets announced. And what's he bringing in? He's coming with a pedigree of Bayern Munich and Germany. Now, if you whichever club you are outside the top 6 of the Premier League, I'm not going to follow in the Premiership route. If you're outside that top 6, and you're recruiting a manager that was last involved with Germany in the World Cup, Bayern Munich, you've got an assistant manager that we're paying money to come in from the Red Bull system in Scandinavia. We're bringing in the coach that was at the World Cup with England last winter, who was last at Tottenham, and so on and so on and so on. It carries an air of optimism with it, doesn't it? So automatically, based on the shit that it was under Chisco, you're kind of then going, this is promising. This sounds like a good appointment. Then he comes in and he says his bits in the press conference, and then we get to Watford, and his first team, the way that we set up, the way that he was in terms of his animation, the way that he was at the side of the pitch, it was automatically night and day with what we've had for 3 months previous. So that gave me optimism, even though we lost late. If we'd have taken a Chisco team to Watford, we'd have lost 5-0. in my opinion. That's just the way we set up. So it's all been about those. Yeah, no, they weren't. But yet they're sitting 7th, 8th, 9th in the league at the moment. So it's at the minute it's just been incremental gain after incremental gain, and there's been a couple of bumps in the road. Plymouth weren't great once we conceded. Millwall was just an absolute anomaly because that was never a 4-0 game, but we've lost 4-0 at home. And the Birmingham game wasn't, it weren't great because I don't think that's a game we should be losing. But for everything that's happening, there's either been a circumstance or something to cling on to that has meant that we're positive about what's happening. And for me, that's why we are where we are. I get your blind optimism bit, but it's optimism, but it's optimism with a feeling of this is what's happening. Everything has got some sort of substance behind it, what's happening at the moment. And I think that's a reason that he is held in such high regard at the moment, because he's doing special things.
I think you feel that you're in safe hands. Even when we were losing, those games at the start of his tenure, you felt you were in safe hands. And when he was discussing the game after the game, you could see that he was analysing our mistakes. He was analysing where we were going wrong, and he was already got in his mind a plan of how to put that right. He comes across to me as a guy who lives and breathes football and knows football very, very well. Bear in mind, this is a guy whose career was cut really short. He's not had 15, 20 years playing the game. I'm not sure when he stopped playing, but I mean, theoretically,
24, I think it was.
So he's not been. So he's then dedicated his life for the last 10 years to coaching. Christ, this is to be assistant coach for the national team of Germany, who have won, I don't know how many World Cups, but they're up there, aren't they, in regard of World Cups and European Championships they've won, with the players that he's coached. I think the feeling is that we are, and I'll go back to what I started with, we're in safe hands in regards to his coaching skills. And then obviously, as Steve alluded to, the backroom staff that has been put in place is just night and day to what we've just had. Absolute night and day.
And I think that does help, doesn't it? Because it was, and I'm sure, 100. I'm going to say 100% Wednesday eyes. It could not have got worse. It is night and day. It was that start. Well, went it? It was. You just look at the 10 games that Cisco had, and it was just diet after diet after diet. So I just think that I think it's been the right appointment, and the way the Wednesday fans, and we've all seen over Twitter and social media some of the songs and memes and pictures, and I might have been guilty of one or two of them myself, so it's let's put them out there. But like I said, it's good to hear that the Wednesday fans from 2:45 were right on and everything. So I mean, not much in this first half was in terms of action. So I think it's one of those, isn't it? It's like a very forgettable first half. And I know people are tuning in for our tactical analysis and all that shit on that show. So if you don't mind, everyone might just skip over the first half. You're not going to get, definitely not. More likely to get what food we had at half time, I think. Which, did anyone have any food at half time?
No,
pie.
Sorry.
Yeah, me and Molly got pie. We had some pies.
£4, £5. These people want to know. Come on, if they're going to go to Stoke again next season, they need to be armed with all the right.
I think they were about £4.
Nice.
They're all right. Standard fare.
Sweet. Nice. I like it. Second half, no changes. So I'm gonna skip straight to it. The non-penalty, and we're all gonna have a massive debate about this. If it was, can you remember Oxford?
Yeah. The only person who thought it was a penalty was Dan, wasn't it?
So are we all in agreement that it wasn't a penalty?
No, it wasn't a penalty.
It wasn't a penalty.
It was more of a foul on not for Maywo, on
Bernard.
Yeah, Bernard. Yeah,
it was for Maywo who was behind the player, and I think the ref thought he pulled him back.
Yeah.
But I've looked at the replay and I can't see it, mate. But you could see his arms push Bernard, and I'm like, and the clip of Dawson laid on the ball like he's got it, and he's like, ref blows. He's like, what? Yeah. Disbelief, and there were I couldn't see any Stoke players were protesting or anything.
No. There seemed to be a bit of a delay, to be honest, from Dawson collecting the ball And then we were like, all right. And then, because I think Stoke, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, I think Stoke were having a bit of a purple patch at that time. They seemed to be a little bit on top of us. And I also as well feel the referee hadn't had the greatest of performances all the way through the game. He was poor.
We've said that far many, a lot
too
of
many
teams
times.
A lot of teams, fair enough, are always going up. And I know Rotherham, every time they lose, they always moan about.
Yeah, he wasn't good, and I believe he'd been demoted to the Championship from the Premier League. And you do tend to find that, don't you? That they referee in a different kind of way, etc. But the penalty was it wasn't a penalty. The Stoke fans, I think, were as surprised as we were. What Stoke fans were there. Yeah, and again, I don't want to knock the lad, but Dawson hadn't had the best of games either. He hadn't had the best of games. Now, whether it was down to the weather, because it was pretty crappy weather. Yeah. And Stoke's a funny ground because it's sort of on three sides, all the corners are filled in, and then you have this one stand from the away end on the left-hand side, and both corners are open. And it's sort of, because it's quite set up on a bit of a hill, the wind sort of blows through like a tunnel through that side there. And his kicking distribution, certainly in the first and second half, wasn't that great, wasn't brilliant. He wasn't having the best of games. But obviously made amends for that with the penalty. It was just... it was a great save. And then actually kudos to Bannon, because you know what? He was some way behind the guy who took the penalty to come in and intercept that and put the ball out, because the ball could have quite easily been put in the back of the net.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen the replay of the thing, and it is a good height for a goalkeeper, but that is not a thing. It's still a good save. He's guessed the right way. He's done it. It's not, I'm not taking nothing away from Dawson for that. He saved a penalty. And it was a needed save as well, a much needed save. Because if we'd have gone 1-0 down, one of them. But yeah, for Bannon, I know he's saying that he was well behind, but he had the momentum, didn't he? The striker hit the ball and stood there and went, he saved it. So Bannon was well on it, but he cleared it well. Row XX, weren't it? I think he went into. He made sure about it. But that's it. And because obviously the limited highlights that I've seen doesn't really show, but did that change the game, or did you feel in the stands? I'm assuming it was mental in the stands after the save, as you'd know, but did it feel like it had changed, Stevie?
It's difficult to say. It felt positive. It did feel positive. Obviously, you get the save, and I thought it was a good save. I did. I thought you're right. It was a great height for a goalkeeper, but I think he struck it really well. And if you hit a penalty well, that penalty needs saving regardless of the height of it. And I think it'll go down as one of those sorts of saves that'll be underrated because of the height that it was at. But it was a bloody good save. Controversially, perhaps, I'm going to disagree with Simon.
We love controversy on this podcast, Stevie. That's why we are. That's why we're all different characters, mate.
Listen, if we all sit here and go, yeah, I agree, we're all right, and this is the same page that we're at, then it gets boring, doesn't it? And I think we're all big enough, ugly enough, and hairy enough to accept that sometimes we'll have different viewpoints. I actually thought Dawson did all right. I totally agree. His kicking was abject first half. There were a couple that he's trying to ping out to the fullbacks just inside our half that have gone high. I can remember one to Palmer where he's tried heading it in, going away from us. And there was one that he's just absolutely cleared over one of the fullbacks and it's gone out. And Danny Rohl's turned around and put his hands in his pocket and just sort of walked back towards the dugout. And you're thinking, and he's even, he's apologising for that because he's not quite there, is he, in terms of the ball at his feet? But I actually think some of the stuff that he did in terms of the shot stopping, certainly in the second half, he's come out, he's smothered, he's closed his angles down. I thought he'd done okay, to be fair. But I can understand, and this isn't a dig at Simon, I can understand why people think that it weren't his greatest game, because the bits that we amplify and the bits that we look at, the bits that we remember weren't good. But I think if you look at where he is, now from where he was maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. I think there's no getting away from the fact that he's probably grown in confidence from the last minute save at Leicester. He'll have grown in confidence from a win at Blackburn. He'll grow in confidence now from the penalty save and a clean sheet against Stoke, with us coming off the bottom of the table as well. And one thing that I did notice, when the penalty was saved, everybody, once Bannon had cleared it, everybody jumps on Dawson. There was no fist pumping. There's no high fiving from Dawson. It was just.
No, he was stood there, weren't he?
Cool as. Himself, I've done my bit. Yeah, I've done my bit. And it almost felt like a release, like something had been like a load off his back. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, when something good happens, rather than celebrate, you kind of feel a relief. It almost felt like Dawson was relieved that he'd saved the penalty and he'd done a bit, which I thought was great to see. But then from there, you know, you were asking about whether or not there was a sea change, if you like. I don't necessarily think there was. They still had the chances, and there were a couple of mess ups, one high profile, one from Ihekwe, weren't they? Where he's gone to clear the ball with his right and has ended up toe pegging it with his left, or the other way around, and has just totally mishit it, and they've gone through on goal. But you know,
was that when he made up for it and ran in the box? And
dived in.
Challenge?
Yeah.
I know he hasn't had the minutes, but I have actually been quite impressed with Ihekwe when he's come in. I've got to say, I don't think, because I think at the start of the season, I think for me, people saying he weren't a championship defender, and maybe he's not, but he's obviously a competent. All right, then I know he's second bottom, stupid, but a competent defender to come in, because I think he's played well when he's come in. And that's just me, I've got to say.
I think there's a profile of defender that we've got, though, isn't there? And if you look at it, like in terms of physical attributes, you've got Iorfa, you've got Bernard, you've got Bambo, who are all big
specimens.
Units. They are big lads, aren't they? Whereas Ihekwe, although he'll have the size of a defender, does actually look a little bit slight. If you look at him in comparison to them, these guys look like sprinters, look like athletes, look like people that, you know, can, and they are. You know, Bambo did a recovery challenge on Saturday. I think that might have been in the first half, actually, where he's given the blow sort of 5-10 yards and has made up, you know, that distance, and has gone in and he's put in a challenge. And no doubt we'll talk about him in a while. I thought he played absolutely phenomenally well on Saturday, and that he's on an upward trajectory at the moment. Bernard is an absolute Rolls Royce of a player at the minute. He's first name on the sheet as far as I'm concerned, and I'll include any of the midfield three, including Volks. I'd say that, as good as Volks has been, I think Bernard is absolutely integral to what we're doing at the moment. So he's not droppable, if you like. So Ihekwe at the minute has had to bide his time. And when he gets his chance, as long as he's acquitting himself well, I think he's doing okay in the role that he's got.
I think what he's done is, because towards the end, Fenwo was blowing, wasn't he? He would. I think this was probably that game a little bit over. What he needed a bit of a rest, so they took him off like they did against Blackburn the week before, and that's when Ihekwe, they swapped it around at the back, and that mistake, he made amends for it, big style, and was just the most perfect challenge in the box to making amends. But I agree with Bernard, and that's probably why I'm a little bit sort of questionable over some of Dawson's passing on Saturday, just down to the fact that we've started playing it out from the back now through Bernard, and he can pass the ball, and he can also run with the ball as well. And he's got an eye for passing the ball. And there was a couple of times where you just thought, just do the simple things, Dawson. Just rather than trying to lump it, which, you know, just bring the ball down. There was one where the ball came down and maybe he needed a shout. And it was a simple ball of just passing it out to Dijon. And instead he just lumped it back forward, and the ball went out and obviously put pressure back on us. Look, I'm being too overcritical on the lad.
He's had it. I'm going to start. Yeah, you are, Simon.
but as Steve alluded to, and I agree entirely, is the fact of that save against Leicester. He also made a really good save, I thought, against Blackburn last week at one point. And then obviously the penalty save is only going to do his confidence a world of good. Yeah, absolutely.
It was another start for Cadamarteri. out. He made it 60 minutes again. I can only go on what social media and things and said it was a hard game for him. And I don't know, would you say that? He did a lot again, like he did against Leicester, a lot of running, chasing thing, but not having the rub of the green. Were it good minutes for him as well? Because obviously it's another 60 minutes of proper first team blood and guts football for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're going, sir.
Well, I'd say, yeah, it was very similar to the Leicester game. It was very similar to the Leicester game. He covered a lot of grass, but chances weren't being made. I thought Windass was a little bit anonymous for the first 10, 15 minutes. Obviously, he was a lot more lively, I thought, against Blackburn. So we just didn't have that outlet, which Cadamarteri would have fed off. And he did what a striker does, made a nuisance of himself, but he just didn't get the chances.
Yeah. Steve, you agree with that?
Largely,
yeah. Of course you don't. Yeah. No, sorry.
Normally, Shuey disagrees with.
I'm hosting tonight, so we can't.
It's the way Stoke set up. They are as almost that stereotypical big centre halves are going to go and be big centre halves, and the way that they set themselves up isn't conducive to having us sort of counter that in terms of the way that we're going forwards. It makes it very, very difficult to create the chances for a player like Cadamarteri to do. He's the kind of player that I think will want grass in front of him. He's going to be a bit of a poacher, if you like, that old cliche being the fox in the box. I think he's going to be that sort of player for us when we're in possession of the ball, finding pockets of space so we can go and exploit them, which is literally how he scored the goal against Blackburn. It wasn't that kind of game on Saturday. It didn't feel like the kind of game where we'd go out wide, get the balls in, we try and play the way that we play. But I didn't necessarily think that it was a game that was set up for an 18-year-old lad who was playing by himself through the middle, effectively, with two wide players that are trying to service him. It was a difficult game. Credit to him, credit to the manager, credit to the people in and around it. They're managing his minutes. I don't think he was ever going to play 90, and there was a plan there to withdraw him at an appropriate time into the second half. It's a great experience for him. It's great that he's putting himself in and around, and he's going to learn from playing against teams like Stoke and that sort of dynamic and profile of defender. I'd be interested to see him when, and it's maybe a little bit different to the difference between Stoke and Leicester. Players that will try and play out a little bit more from the back. It might be that he gets a little bit more joy there because he's going to try and pinch the ball or try and close angles down, try and get on the shoulder of a defender. And I think we might see him get a little bit of joy out of that. I don't think it was ever going to be that kind of game on Saturday. But we set up. I thought he did well. Credit to him. He excites me. He does. He's something different to what we've got. Young, dynamic, pacey. Puts himself about. He's not scared.
Masaba, but having two players like that, dynamic, pacey.
Yeah,
and maybe Gassama if he gets a few more minutes and stuff. So it's looking rosy, that though, isn't it?
But this is the thing, I'm not gonna mention Moore, and I'm not going to mention Chisco and their reluctance to put Cadamarteri in. And there's probably an argument based on what we've got that Danny Rohl's hand has been forced a little bit by putting Cadamarteri in, because he's looking down. He's gone, I want to set up in the way that I want to play. This is my philosophy, and he uses that word when he's talking about the way that he plays football. He has a philosophy that he wants to stick by. Unfortunately, we've got a player in Lee Gregory that doesn't fit what he wants how he wants to play and what he wants our strikers to do. And I love Gregory to bits. He's given us 2 years of service that have been absolutely phenomenal. At his age, his time of career, he's a Sheffield lad. You can worry about anything else. I'm sure he'd agree. He's literally lived the dream, hasn't he? A local lad that's come up and has done what he's done. But I think it's pretty clear that his time's up, which frees up some space. We've got Fletcher up top. He's not a striker. We've got Pato, that I don't necessarily think is a natural out-and-out striker, that will do what Danny Rohl wants his strikers to do. So we're at a point now where Cadamarteri's come in, and he's come in to do the job that Danny Rohl wants him to do, because nobody else can. Good luck to him.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're rolling into the last 10 minutes of the game, and you're thinking, all right, a draw's going to be all right, but Danny Rohl has a different thing. He brings on Gassama and Smith, so he's gone attacking subs. Already, Masaba had already come on for Cadamarteri earlier on, so you've got 3 attacking subs that have come on. It's great to see that, because I know you said you weren't going to mention it, but other managers have been guilty before of not making that change or making it too late. All right, then the last 11 minutes that came on, it could be seemed to be getting a bit late in the game, but 3 of them substitutions all contribute to the goal. They mess up goal kick out from the Stoke keeper. I think it was a Stoke striker nodded it down. It was a great header from Smith onto Gassama, first time touch, and I've got to say that touch from Masaba to take him away from that defender.
Yeah.
That is the sort of stuff that I think us Wednesdayites have been wanting from Masaba. That sort of instinctive touch, burst of pace, and the geezer, the centre half, was not going to catch him. And a great finish as well under that pressure. You think, he's only side-footed it past keeper. An inexperienced keeper. I think the keeper was making his debut as well. But what a cool finish. And obviously all them Wednesdayites in the right end was a touch. What was it like when did it slow motion, lads? So I'm thinking, ball come in, it gets touched, Masaba just, and then that's it. It went to like half speed, and he's like gliding down, side-footed in, and then Wednesdayites are like, I nearly did that geezer. Did you see him when he does the goal celebrations that a few weeks ago? Like
the stand-up guy, the comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 3 games on the trot now we've scored in 90-plus minutes. Obviously, the 3rd goal against Blackburn, equaliser against Leicester, and obviously the winner as well. So we've had all 3 as well, haven't we? What was it like, lads? I mean,
I think what we've learned this year is that there isn't a better goal to score than one in injury time, is there?
Last 6 months, I think, Simon, isn't it?
For anybody who might suffer from any heart issues, then I would imagine a trip to the doctor is for a Wednesday is something that's prescribed. At half time, we said that if anybody's going to win this, it's only going to be by 1 goal. There was only 1 goal ever going to be scored, and whoever would score it first would win it. I thought the substitutions again by Rohl were inspired. Smith did what Smith had to do, was holding the ball up, winning the ball with his head, which we were missing because Pato's been doing that, hasn't he, for the last couple of games? He's been the target man to head it on to the guys up front. And it was inspired. It was a bit of a cock up by Stoke, but again, Smith won the ball down to Gassama, a lovely ball through, and he was sat on the shoulder, wasn't he, of the centre back Masaba, and just slight touch of it, and he was away and gone. And then it was slow motion. Thinking back now, when he was running towards the keeper, and the keeper was coming out, and obviously we're behind goal. It's like, right, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? Yeah, it was. And when he buried it, it went absolutely nuts. I mean, we had a lot of young lads around us where we were. It was just limb. They say limbs, and I know it's an overused expression in social media nowadays, but it was mental. It was great, and it just such a good feeling. I
gave it the golf clap like that.
Did you? Oh, well done. Well done.
All right.
And then that just finished him off. And for the fans that were already going anyway, the Stoke fans, the place sort of virtually emptied in minutes.
Did you see Gassama go full Forestieri and then he ended up in row D?
Yeah, I did. I'm like, where's he going?
Brilliant. I love that.
It was, and the whole team celebrated together. And again, I think what Rohl's done is he's galvanised the team. I think what Cisco did was he did a fantastic effort of breaking the team up into factions, and obviously the Johnson being ostracised and stuff like that. And it really has brought the team together. And we talk a lot about what we had towards the end of last season of what Darren Moore managed to do with what we had. And Danny Rohl seems to have done exactly the same. It's great. And everybody's celebrating and the fans on board with that. And like you say, players running into the crowd and celebrating with the crowd. And I think somebody was pointing out, this is for you. You've spurred us on, because Wednesday fans never stopped through the whole 90 minutes. It never went quiet. We just kept going and going and going, singing songs. It was brilliant.
Last thing on the game, I'm just going to ask you for a quick man of the match, your man of the match. Stevie, for you?
Volks.
Volks again, should we say, because he has
got
to say the last 3-4 games he has been a different player from the play we saw at Cardiff, weren't it, with the bloody handball. Simon?
Volks. Got to go with Volksy again. He's just been immense the last 3 games. Absolutely immense.
I don't... Go on, Stevie. Sorry, apologies.
Sorry, I was just going to jump on that point. If he keeps doing what he's doing and doesn't get back in the Wales squad, and I know Wales have got some talented players.
That's a shout.
I'm not being funny. He's doing everything that he can to give Rob Page a headache. I don't know what's happened. I don't know. Well, I do know what happened. Danny Rohl's got hold of him. Do you know what I mean? But from my point of view, he's kind of usurped, and I'll say he's usurped Byers. And I know there's a conversation about what's happening with George Byers and whether or not he's playing within himself, or because we've levelled up and had to level up into the Championship, as Byers not come to the heights that we'd expect of him. However, Volks has shown previous. He's played top level football. He's played in the Premier League. He's got experience playing at this level, and it just feels like he's kind of kicked on and has got the legs on Bannon and has maybe got the brain on Byers at the moment. I know they play different roles, but of the 3, he's kind of been the one at the moment that's doing that. And that's not to be critical of the other 2. I just think that Volks at the moment looks like an absolute baller. It's great to see.
I think for every player that we say that Danny Rohl's changed, the way he's coming, the way that he's got them playing, like Volks, you're always going to have others that aren't. Like I said, Byers is probably one of them that I'm a massive George Byers fan, and I totally agree with you. For the way that probably Rohl's setting up and the way he wants them to play, it's obviously suiting Volks more than it is Bannon, not so much, but definitely George Byers.
I think the only thing I'm taking out of the George Byers thing is that we know he's a good player, and I'm just wondering whether or not he's just going through a dip of form like a lot of players do. And my thoughts are he's not an old guy. What is he, late 20s? Is that we've seen how good he is. Yeah. We all mention about that Newcastle game, and my only thought there is that he's just going through it. Bear in mind, he missed quite a bit at the end of the season, didn't he? Last season, and I'm just wondering whether or not his form will come. And look, if Volks' form carries on as it is through the season, like you say, Steve, and if Byers can sort of go back to that form that we've had, then that's only going to give us, positives, isn't it, for the rest of the season?
Yeah.
I think just the last bit on that, I don't think if we're going to be looking at sort of transfer activity and, overhauling the squad at certain points, I don't think the midfield is the priority at the minute.
Definitely agree.
100%. That's 3. All of it. Hey, there's one thing we can all agree on that one. Just before we move on to our next agenda item, because we have got an agenda because we're that professional, just got a message from Martin. Cheers, Martin. Shout out from me to say thank you for this pod in 2023. It's been a tough year for me, and TWW has helped keep me smiling. Thanks to you all. Merry Christmas. Martin, Merry Christmas to you, matey.
Cheers, Martin.
Very much.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it.
Right, so I'll tell you what, we'll go with another little bit of good news because we'll keep the positive going. We've all seen the announcement today. We've talked about him just briefly on the review of the game. Bailey Cadamarteri signed a new contract with Wednesday. As usual, Sheffield Wednesday don't put how many years or how long or anything, but let's hope it's 10 years. Let's hope it's 15 years or whatever. I'm sure it's I would expect how Sheffield Wednesday have done the business in the last few weeks regarding coaching and all sorts of things like that they've got their contracts for Bailey. A quick one on that. Obviously, delighted, aren't we, lads?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's what we should be doing. And we in the past are guilty of not doing that, haven't we? And we've let players go. So, no, well done to the coaching staff for doing that.
Yeah. And whoever's involved in that as well, because I'm sure when he scored against Blackburn, it's like, oh my God, it's going to cost another, I don't know, 500 quid a week or whatever, or even other clubs sniffing round, gets his first professional goal, senior goal, should I say, then gives him. But yeah, it's great. Because I think did he put a tweet out Saturday night, was it? I think he put a tweet out saying, someone said about sign it contract, a little gif, and he put something like, don't you worry about that, it'll be sorted next week. 48 hours later, done, dusted. That's the business we like, isn't it? That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So a little segue on that, guys, as well, is we brought a new head of recruitment in. So obviously January's coming in. Keith, how do you pronounce it? Is it Beadle? Bedell?
I don't know. I just see all the stuff online where people start taking the piss about Jeremy Beadle, don't they?
We won't do that.
Yeah, whatever.
But yes, it's good that the club behind the scenes, for all that we've talked, I mean, we have, and other podcasts, not even Sheffield Wednesday podcasts, have said about the off-field antics at Sheffield Wednesday. It does seem, and there's still issues, massive issues, don't get me wrong, but it does seem we are moving in the right direction, not only in the league. But my question, and it's a Stevie question, everyone. So obviously we've had Danny Rohl's been able to bring in the staff that it looks like he wants to bring in. So we've brought Pedersen in, that's cost us 100 plus grand. Chris Powell brought in ex-England, Spurs. He's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be like 50p a week for him, is it? He's brought in, obviously, this guy from the recruitment guy is going to come in. Who's paying for this, Stevie? Because Mr. Chansiri has not got no money.
Hey, I posed the question. I'm not here to answer it.
Simon, Stevie says. Now, go on, Stevie. It is your question, but I thought I'd turn it around on you because you have got quite good points on this.
There's points, and then there's just the sort of the fantasy, thought points or thinking around it as well. But if you go down the list, we've got the recruitment guy with 21 years under Ferguson and Wenger. Chris Powell we've mentioned, Pedersen we've mentioned. We brought in Danny Rohl. We've got the analyst, the psychologist from Ralph Rangnick at Man United. Sal Bibbo has come in. He was at Arsenal. These players that we've said aren't coming in. Coaches aren't coming in for peanuts, are they? Now we're talking about the finances, and we're talking about the constraints that we're under in terms of financial fair play, profit and sustainability, and what have you. How are we affording to do what we're doing off the field? And why is nobody talking about it? Why is nobody turned around and gone, where are these guys getting, or where are we getting the money to do this from? And I don't know if as I said, we've got conspiracy theories and everything else that's going on. And obviously the go-to at the moment is that we are on the verge of some sort of takeover. But to my understanding, there's nothing going in and around the sort of the day-to-day level of the club that suggests that's the case. But the big overhang for me, and I don't know if there's anybody of our literally dozen viewers that are watching that could shine a light on this in the comments, or if there's anything that you guys know. The big one for me was I remember at the start of the season when things weren't great, people talking about the fact that we weren't going to sack Xisco because Chansiri wasn't going to be in the country. And then I'm going back and I'm thinking, to my knowledge, I don't think he spends a lot of Christmases in the UK.
No, not that I know of.
If anybody's aware, or anybody wants to comment on this, if they're watching it on YouTube later, or the audios or anything like that, if anybody's got any knowledge about whether or not Chansiri spends time in the country over Christmas, what's different this year? What's happening? Is there something going on that he's up to that we don't know about? Or is it literally, let's grip it and rip it and let's just chuck everything at the wall, try and stay up on the with a veiled hope that we can chuck all these people loads and loads of money, and if we stay up, we'll be all right. But if we go down, we're in the absolute shit.
Usually chuck money at players, though, don't you? It's very, usually chuck money at players, though, don't you? Not usually coaching staff, and in the way that he must think, and the coaching staff must think that we have 90% of the players to get us out of this.
There's two things here, isn't there? There's the fact that they've assembled a management staff for managing the team and obviously recruitment that would not look out of place for a Premiership team, would it? Really? You know, you've got a recruitment there with the experience reading about him. You know, working under Wenger, working under Sir Alex Ferguson. Jesus wept. He's got some contacts, hasn't he? And then you look at the coaching staff, which has been one of the best coaching staff I would suggest that we've had for a long, long time. So you've got to look at that, of the fact that several months ago or a few months ago, our chairman said he wasn't going to invest any more money in the club. He was going to keep the club running, but he wasn't going to invest. And what he's done since then is it's invested. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, entire opposite. Not that our chairman hasn't completely contradicted himself in the past. But also there's another question to ask there, is that these people have come in to the club. They've not turned down the club. They've not looked at the club and gone, oh, there's an absolute batshit crazy chairman in charge who's not going to put any money in. So what's the actual point of me going to this club? Because, it won't look very good on the CV if, we get relegated, this, that, and the other. I don't care about the fact, well, they'll come because they're being paid a fortune. A lot of these people make their careers based on previous results. It isn't like going for a job that you and I would go for, although it would be, because you always promote yourself. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. So if you've got a blot on your CV, which could be Sheffield Wednesday, it's going to affect their employment chances further down the line. So they've come in on something as well. There's something they've seen, and it's got to be beyond, we've got a good fan base. It's got to be beyond, we've got, there's the ability there. So there's something bubbling. There's got to be, the positive side of me says there's something happening, but I don't know what.
Now, see on screen, we've just had a comment, a question, and a statement from Mon Smith. I don't know anything about this matter, but I do not believe that the club is for sale. Danny Rohl seems really excited about the opportunity to manage us. Could it be that he is here on a low salary, but with good bonus agreements? I get the impression that Danny Rohl is using and improving our own players instead of using loans. Maybe he's trying to balance out our books by improving the value of the players. Well, that's some long-term thinking, and that would be impressive.
It's a fair point, and maybe that's it. Danny Rohl's coming in, and it's performance related. The big one for me, as good as Danny Rohl is, the big one for me is Chris Powell. I do not understand how we've managed to get that guy, what the link was. It'd be really tenuous, but we've got a bloke that's got a career of however many Premier League games under his belt, and the profile that he was at. He was working with Southgate literally a year ago. Yeah. A year ago yesterday was the England-France game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he was there.
Yeah.
Exeter away. Yeah, it was a great game.
I also hear that he's very London centric as well. He doesn't want to move away.
He don't want to come up north.
No, he don't want to come up north. So it's that. It just doesn't. I agree entirely, Steve. That is the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Also, as well, we've had people move up sticks. Not Danny Rohl. I understand that point. I completely agree with it. Danny Rohl is there now. He's wanting to prove himself as a manager. He's never done that job. He's always been assistant. So coming into a role, he's got nothing to lose at Wednesday. He keeps us up. His stock's fantastic. We go down, but we go down with a fight. His stock's fantastic. But you're exactly right. It's the people underneath that have come in. Chris Powell, the guys that have left quite well paid and also stable jobs to come to Wednesday. And then the recruitment guy, it all just...
Yeah.
Christ, we might be making something out of nothing, but
Of course, that's what we do. We're a podcast. That's what we do.
At the end of the day, that's what we're here for, isn't it? And if we chuck enough shit at the wall, something sticks.
Yeah.
I'm heartened by the recruitment fella coming in. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in January, because the noises that he made at the back end of last week were, I've got good contacts. I'm looking at loan markets. We're not just going to go down the route of this and that. We are going to spread the net wide. We're going to look at MLS. We're going to look at on the continent. There's no getting away from the fact that it's got to be more than just a coincidence that Danny Rohl, who's never worked with Henrik Pedersen, to my knowledge, before, but both have worked within a Red Bull system. So there's a model, whether or not you want to talk about that aspect of what's going on, and I can't see it, but is there anything wrong with saying, look at how it worked for those guys over there, let's see if we can do something similar here? And if there's no finance and there's no money, I'm not being funny, it's absolutely genius that we've gone, it works well there and we know how that works, so let's come and do it here and make it work for us under our circumstances and constraints. And that seems to be what's happening at the moment at the absolute base foundation level. Worst case scenario, that's what we've got. But I'm excited going into January. I said a couple of weeks ago when I was on, from my point of view, if we are within touching distance, and I think the ballpark that people have talked about in terms of us being from safety, if we can get 5-6 points from safety by January, we're all right, and we're in with a fight. Do you know what I mean? And at the minute, I think is it 8 points?
8 points.
Points.
Just look, 8 points. Yeah,
we're eating away on it. We're eating away at it. You know, Huddersfield. The QPR result came in on Saturday, and my first thought was, oh shit, they've won as well. But then the second thought was, but Huddersfield have only drawn, and they're the team that we need to be catching at the moment, and we're 2 points closer to them. And above them, you've got 3-4 teams. Is it Stoke, Swansea? I think without looking, Plymouth, Millwall are all there and thereabouts, and they're not a million miles away. And there will be more movement and volatility in terms of managerial coming and going, in terms of people dipping away, form dropping. We've had our blip, and we're going to lose more games. And I'll say this every week: we might lose on Wednesday night. We might lose Saturday. We've got to hold our nerve and just hold on to the fact that we've made incremental gains so far, and it might be another 3-4 months before we chip away another 3-4 points. But if it takes us the next 6 months to get to where we need to be, or however many games to where we need to be, let's just be patient and keep trusting the process.
Well, on that, we've had a question from Christopher. Lads, do you reckon we've got 12 wins in the last 26 matches? So I think the question that Chris is asking is, are we going to stay up? Because that's what it's going to take, isn't it? So 12 wins gives us 36 points. That's 49 points we'll have. That has been, someone who's a stats person will no doubt say that that's been good for the last 29 out of the last 30 seasons in the Championship to stay up. Stuff like that, you know. So what do you reckon? I think. What he's saying is 49 points going to be enough? I think it will be.
Yeah, I'm looking at that table. So I've got the table up in front of me here. So you actually look, there's 3 teams on 21 points. Okay. Then it goes 22 points, then 23 points, 24. Nobody's that group from sort of 13th downwards aren't pulling away from the bottom 3. They're all sitting around on 21 to 26 points.
Yeah, it's about
so
5 points,
I agree. Yeah, I agree entirely with Steve. If we can be within touching distance 2 wins in January, then look at strengthening the side through recruitment. Then there are teams that are going to go on runs, on dips of form. There seems to be teams there that are already on it. Stoke, for one. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, they've got rid of the manager. Huddersfield don't seem to be able to get any sort of run going. Obviously, the team that are in form really is QPR, and ourselves,
They were good last week. QPR were good. QPR looked really good.
Yeah.
Before we get to QPR, sorry Simon. Before we get to QPR, mate. We have just a short trip to Norwich on Wednesday. What an absolute journey that is. So I said it on the start, any of you went, and it amazes me and us. I'll speak for you guys because I'm sure it does. Anyone who goes to away games, the time, effort, money to go. But if you are going on Wednesday night, you really do need to get your head checked.
Yeah, cheers for that.
That's why I said it. Because I know we're in a good run of form, but a Wednesday night at Norwich, so
yeah, silly bollocks here. Decided to buy a ticket. I love Norwich away. I've had some great nights and great days at Norwich. I mean, somebody posted the Forestieri goal that was on Good Friday Easter a few years ago, which was just the most amazing goal.
See, that's the sort of shit I'm talking
about. Jamie, you beat me. Fantastic.
Jamie, I want to know. I want to hear that it's the only reason you're flying in from New Orleans. You're just going straight to Norwich, and then you're getting on a plane Thursday morning and flying back. First of 4 games over Christmas.
Oh, brilliant.
What an absolute hero. Brilliant.
Absolutely. Right, so I'm just making that short journey from Sheffield to Norwich. Yeah, Jesus. No, never mind about that. Yeah. No, I like Norwich. I love the city. I like the place. We've always had good games there. So look, they're on a bit of form as normal. I don't know where they are in the table. Actually, just had it up, didn't I?
They are 13th.
13th.
They've dipped and then come back a bit, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're 3 points off the playoffs, and they are 8 points off of relegation. So they're in that mid-table. I think they had a good start, dropped, and I think they've picked up again now. But forgive me, I ain't been really looking into their games, so I can't really tell you. I'm saying that. I mean, prediction-wise, I would love a draw. No, sorry, I'd love a win, of course. I'm not an idiot, but I'm being a bit thinger. So a draw for me for Norwich, guys.
Yeah, I'd be happy with a draw. 3 points would be marvellous to make the journey home, the 3 and a bit hour journey home, a little bit better. But a point would be nice. A point would really be nice because we will literally be landing, going to the ground, and then getting in the car and heading back afterwards. So, yeah.
Not in a 747 though, or whatever.
No, a 747. No, mate. No,
over from New Orleans.
Yeah,
fantastic. I love that. I like that. And then obviously we're not going to have we've got another game to just preview. Really, it's QPR, which is probably the one at home that we're looking at to really, really make a dent into that 8 points, aren't we? QPR, we've mentioned it a couple of times, in a great run of form for a bottom 3 team. Don't get me wrong. I think it is 3 wins out of 3. They're 2 points off Huddersfield. It's not a 6 point because I hate that. I really do. But it would improve our chances dramatically. What do you reckon, guys? Their new manager, is it Cifuentes? Spanish guy, I think he's come in and worked wonders. So, because Ainsworth was their Cisco. Ainsworth was their Cisco. How's that?
Yeah.
With a shit person.
I'm with you with the 6 pointers. I think are a bit of a stereotype, aren't they? Or it's typically something you'd say because it's a cliche, not a stereotype. That's the word I was looking for. But I think it is. I kind of think it is, if I'm honest with you. I'll say it. And for all the things that I'm saying about we've got to stay in touch, we've got to be there, it's the flip side to that is if we lose to QPR on Saturday on our home patch, that extends the distance, doesn't it? And it gives another team, all those teams that are in and around, we're hoping for somebody to drop. But if QPR keep going, it just makes our job harder because we've got to keep going with them. It's... Whilst I don't think it'd be doom and gloom if we do lose, because I think our focus changes to teams either above them or the teams that are the teams like Huddersfield, Stoke that we've talked about. I think Swansea are in that group as well. The point that Chris Shaw's just made on the screen at the moment, turning Hillsborough into a fortress and doing that on Saturday, I think it's bang right. That's where we need to be. That's where we need to be going forward, for the rest of the season. If we pick up more wins and draws than we do losses at home, and we can pick up draws and the odd win away, then that's what's going to get us to those 12 wins out of 26 at the end of the day. I do worry about Saturday because, as I said, I've not seen too much of QPR, but the highlight packages of the last 2 games, I can't remember who the Friday night game was against, but Preston. Thank you. Yeah. They look steady there, and they've got Elias Chair and Willock that are doing bits up top. Yeah, and the goalkeeper Begovic played Saturday, and I think he's made the team of the week. 36 years old, he was absolutely outstanding from the bits that I saw on Saturday. So they're coming in good form, and they're going to be, they're going to be a tough unit to kind of to try and break down. So we've got to make sure that we do as damnedest to turn Hillsborough into a fortress, as the comment has just been, but also trying to recreate that atmosphere that we had when Peterborough came up, and the atmosphere that we had when we went one down at Leicester, and try and make it difficult for teams to come and try and play. That's where we're going to get our success going forward.
It's always a hard one, isn't it? Because you're never going to replicate the away atmosphere at Hillsborough. You never are you? I mean, I know some sections do, but just as a whole, you won't. But there has been occasions and nights like Peterborough, Newcastle, games that with the fans have really turned out, and like Chris has said, turning the home form is where it could be won and lost for me. And statistically, before we have made it quite a fortress, all right, in the lower leagues, but you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? Simon, what do you think Saturday for a little bit of a prediction?
I think it depends what sort of football they play. I think if they play open football, then we'll have every chance with our high press. Sorry, my dog is going to bark in a minute because I know my other half's coming through the door. So there you go. So I think we've got to look at the like you say, if we can make it into fortress, and I think it'd be a decent crowd because we started to go into the holiday period. So people will be like to go and watch the football over the Christmas period and stuff. So we can get an atmosphere going. And you know what? We didn't fear Leicester. We shouldn't fear these guys. Let's play our own game of football. What I've noticed is that everybody's throwing the bodies on the line at the moment. The defence, we're still prone to the odd mistake at the back, but then somebody will come in and throw the body on the line to sort of stop that ball going in and whatever. So, let's just play our own brand of football and
it does. It does seem that Danny Rohl does that. He sets up how he wants to set up, not the opposition. Sometimes managers are guilty, and I think he looks at him and thinks, I'm going to play like this. This is the way I'm playing, or we're playing, and stick with it. I'm going to pick this team for that. And it seems, like I said, at the minute, it is working, and that's what we want. Well,
yeah, he has the ability to change it as well. So he's done that in the last 3 games, where he's seen that we're starting to. He certainly did that against Blackburn the other week, where they really had a purple patch in the second half, and he just changed it, and then that just changed the game, and we won it. So I don't. They're going through a good spell, but I don't fear them.
Yeah, like it. God, that's an hour and 10 nearly, lads. Done well there, haven't we? Rabble it on. Have you got any other business? I have one bit. But,
when you start there.
No, if you've got anything, want to say anything? Any little nuggets of information?
The only thing I was going to mention is the season ticket thing. I don't know whether you were going to mention that. Was the fact
I wasn't, because we could be here for another hour, I think.
Well, yeah.
Whoa. Sorry. Just let's pull back the curtain. Was this not the point where you said this will give us 15 to 20 minutes content?
Oh shit! I did, didn't I?
And we did drag out Stoke, which was a
it was in-depth analysis. That yeah. So obviously, everyone for those that don't know or haven't seen, the announcement of the early bird season ticket was announced last Monday. I think it was, to say that more information was going to be available on Thursday, and for them to be on sale Friday. of last week. And guess what? That didn't happen, did it? Nothing runs smooth at Sheffield Wednesday. So you can look into that whatever you want. As Chansiri had a change of heart, is he adding another couple of quid on because we've scored a few points? Is he now going to offer Bailey Cadamarteri 30 grand a week? So we're going to have to be paying for that. You know, you wanted him to sign a contract. You're paying for it. I'm joking. So yeah, exactly. We don't know, do we? But for those people who are obviously lucky enough to be able to renew straight away, they've got to wait till after Christmas, I believe. May not be. It might be a week before Christmas. I don't know. Or whatever. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? Bit of a strange one for us. I did the White Rose Rivals last week, and I put it to the guys on there. How do their season tickets go? And Leeds are different. You can't really count them. Theirs goes on sale at the end of the season, so May time. Hull have a subscription. You pay monthly.
Yeah, they don't have season tickets, do they?
No, they don't really have season tickets. Rotherham pay monthly if you want to. And I don't know what the Huddersfield guy, he didn't say. But we seem to be the only club that put them 8 months on sale before the start of the season. It's just a weird situation.
Historically, it's always been like that, hasn't it? I mean, that was even pre-Chansiri. I seem to remember it just that Chansiri seemed to add more windows. So he added more elements to put the prices up, to which point he kept putting them up so much they just became unaffordable. But yeah, I'm sure in the past from when we very first started buying them, you know, in the days of Dave Richards, there was a sort of a pre-season sale, but then that was it. You had your early bird, and then that was it. And then they went up to the full price, and it never went up again. And that's how it should be, in my opinion. You know,
well, you have a month of buying them at X amount, and then if you don't do it after that, then it goes up to whatever, and that's it. And then they're on sale for the rest of the season.
I just hope that the club have just realised that selling a season ticket 2 weeks before Christmas was a ridiculous notion for a lot of people.
Oh, of course.
And they reviewed it and gone, hang on a minute, we're in a time at the moment where we're not particularly in the good books with anybody, and let's just sell them in the new year. Let's review it and make them March time, something like that, and we'll probably have a better idea what league we're going to be in by then, and they can price it accordingly.
I think Dan, bless him, always makes a really good point when we're talking about stuff like this, because he talks about the without him, when he goes on his monologues and he starts talking about consumerism and the customer. The point he makes is, when you're talking about pricing strategies and what have you, effectively to sort of summarize his viewpoint, those that are going to buy season tickets are going to buy season tickets. Those that are going to buy the shirts are going to buy the shirts. Those that are going to pay the prices are going to pay the prices, irrespective of how much it costs. He could put another 200 quid on the season tickets. I don't think it's going to be an absolute marked difference on the number. Okay, that's a slight exaggeration, but effectively, when we're moving them marginally, people are going to pay that extra 50, 60 quid. Do you know what I mean? And I think what he's doing by the number of windows and phases that we've had, I think it actually restricts, good people that are going to do it anyway. But they're going to pay over the odds in March, April, June, whenever it'll be, if they don't do it now. Now, I'll use myself as an example. I'll openly hold my hand up. I'm I'm a father of twin daughters who have lifestyle and, memberships to clubs and sporting activities and things that they do that cost a lot of money. And I'm going to put my kids first. And as we sit here and do this, it's the 11th of December. We're 2 weeks away from Christmas. I'm going to put my kids first. And if those season tickets came out and when everybody was talking about it, I didn't comment once because it's irrelevant to me. I am, for personal reasons, I am literally months away from thinking about a season ticket. The bigger picture is
I can't wait to see Molly's face Christmas morning, because you've seen Molly. Everyone who ever seen TikTok and everything, Molly's the star. She's going to sit there and she's going to go, "Where's that little envelope? Where's that little envelope? Where's the season ticket?
Where's my little credit card?"
Yeah.
I'm just going to wrap last year's up.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go, Molly. It's a new phone. Well, I don't want that. Where's my season ticket? Looking for the Wednesday season ticket app on it.
But the other big, the last bit from me on it, you guys have mentioned it. How it's a decision to be made in terms of the money and the outgoings. How can you charge the money that we're charging or potentially going to charge based on where we're going to be when we don't know where we're going to be? Mm-hmm. You can't charge us tickets for League One at the same price that you're going to charge us for the Championship, because that makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely. So let's concentrate on getting our league status secure.
Yeah.
Because you can't ask us to pay more money for worse football. That contradicts everything that you've said, Mr. Chansiri, over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Obviously, there's other things. I would imagine cash flow. He wants money in. And if you're not going to do that till March, then that's another 4 months of him potentially having to fund things, or I don't know what, or pay your VAT or whatever it was he didn't pay. So I'm assuming before Christmas would have been a great time for him to get, because like you said, there's going to be fans, there's going to be thousands of you, obviously, that don't watch or listen to us, ones and twos of you, that will buy that season ticket on the Friday it releases, be in the queue, and that's fine, that's up to them. They've budgeted, they've got the money, that's their thing, and there is going to be thousands, but then there's going to be potential thousands you miss out on because of the way that it's set up. I think it's set up for those diehard Wednesdayites that'll do it, like whatever, exactly what Stevie said, diehard Wednesday fans that'll buy it no matter what.
And can I just say something on that point? Sorry. And if you are that person that wants to go and do that, then that's absolutely fine.
Of course,
and you'll get no hatred from us, no criticism. Congratulations, that's absolutely fine. I can remember a year ago listening and reading things online where people were actually getting after each other because people were upset about the phases and the timings of it, and there were Sheffield Wednesday fans slagging off Sheffield Wednesday fans because people weren't happy that they were being asked to pay £600, £700, £800, whatever it were, at Christmas time or in January. That's crap. Don't get after people that don't want to spend that money in January. Sorry, that's my soapbox, and that's where I am.
Right. It's the worst month. It's typically the worst month.
It's typically the worst month. But the thing that people were saying that really got my goat was, well, you knew it were coming. So you should have planned accordingly to other people. You don't know other people's circumstances. We're in a cost of living crisis.
Absolutely, and that's people's circumstances, isn't it? That people like you say, you've got young kids who are very expensive. I've got a 15-year-old that wants less presents, but are twice as expensive as what he wanted when he was your girl's age. It's and also like you say, you go and do a shop now, and it's not 80 quid, it's 120. Everything's gone up. So it's this case of that we're all Wednesday fans, and if you can afford to buy one, that's brilliant. If you can't, you can't. And that's also as well what the club have got to start, and football clubs as a whole and the football industry have got to start looking at, is the fact is that we are the life and blood of football clubs. Football clubs were set up by fans. You look at the football clubs that were set up in our region, a mining region, they were set up by the lads who worked down the coal mines. They set up football, and it was set up by the fans for the fans.
Don't matter these days, though, does it?
Well, no, you're right. But then also as well, one of the major funds for clubs out of the Premier League is season ticket sales. So they have got to look at them, A, making them more affordable, and B, looking them more accessible. And if it is something like the Hull method, where you pay a monthly subscription, then fantastic, because then you might be paying more in a way, but you don't miss it as much as one big lump sum.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, I don't know. We'll just say on the cop is 400 quid. Do it over 10 months, so you have you either have December, January off, because they're your most, so you can pay 10 months from February to November.
Yeah.
monthly subscription, do that. 40 quid a month. I'm sure that'll be a lot more.
You look at Netflix. How many people pay for Netflix or Amazon Prime and they play in one go or pay monthly? People pay it monthly. If Netflix went, it's 400 quid a year, you'd probably go, oh, sod that. But it's so much a month. Like Sky, it's so much a month. If you have that, you just pay it. You don't think about the fact of the total amount. But they've got to start. And maybe Wednesday are doing that. Maybe Wednesday are looking at new innovative ways. Hopefully, of
screwing us.
Of screwing us, but screwing us in something that doesn't quite hurt so much as it does at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that was nearly 15, 20 minutes, lads. So apologies, everyone listening. We have ranted on far too long tonight.
Podcast ever.
Just any other business from me. I don't know if you've seen over on our social medias, on Twitter, I think, actually, not just social media. There is a Mazzala giveaway of a couple of lovely prints from Peterborough game, Mr. Palmer, and the Barnsley game, Windass. So if you go on, if you follow us, follow Mazzala, see it on our Twitter, and there's going to be a time of going out. This is going to be chosen tomorrow. So you still got time, everyone. So if you do that, give a like, give a retweet, I think, all that sort of stuff, and you can have in the chance of winning a print. So that's it, chaps. Thank you very much for joining me, Simon, Stevie. It's always a pleasure seeing your lovely faces and speaking to you. I'm going to do it because we don't do it enough. But if you do like what you hear or what you see, give us a like, subscribe on Twitter, all the things on the bottom of the screen. Thank you, chaps. YouTube, everything like that. We love to see. And thank you, everyone, for commentating on tonight's show and all the listeners. And I won't see you at Norwich, but you may see Simon. Oh, what we're looking at?
Just a quick one.
Steve. Apologies, I thought you were pointing at me.
No. 10 seconds. If there's anything that you guys want us to sort of discuss, bring up topics, feel free to add comments and get in touch with us. We're more than happy to chat anything shite about Sheffield Wednesday.
We need content.
And we do chat shite, so
yeah. I'll echo that. Thank you very much, Stevie. Everyone, thank you for listening. Get in touch, like Stevie says, if there's anything you want for us to discuss, talk about, any talking points through the week, or if you just want to record a really, really nice message for us. We've had a couple of lovely ones that I might tweet out and stuff from. I'll give him a shout. Gaz Robinson, you're mental, mate. But yeah, thank you very much. And we'll see you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.